Hi, I'm Shalane from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be talking about the part of speech in English that is articles. In English, articles come in three options. You can have a or an, you can have the, or you can have no articles at all. So those are your three options in regards to what articles you choose. So let's talk about the first one, a or an. When we talk about a or an something, we always put that article in front of a noun. Okay? More specifically, we have to put it in front of a count noun. Now, there are two kinds of nouns. You can have count nouns or you can have uncount nouns. Count nouns are things that you can count. Okay? As the name suggests, it's things that you can, I like to think about it as things that you can physically count, right? You can say, for example, you can say 1 pen, 2 pens, 3 pens, 4 pens. Pen is a count noun. You can count them. You can do maths with them, you can add them up, you can subtract them, you can multiply them, you can physically separate them, 1, 2, 3, 4. So pen, that's how we know, is a count noun. An uncount noun is something that we cannot count. Seems simple enough. So for example, water that comes, out of a tap in the bathroom, that is an uncount noun because you can't count water. If you turn the tap on, how can you count how much water falls down, right, out of the tap? You can't. You can't separate water from water. It's just water. Yeah. So that's why we call them uncount nouns. Uncount nouns do not need a or an. Okay, whereas count nouns needs a or an. Now, this is when we're talking about these nouns in their singular form. Okay, so pens, I would say I have a pen. Right? You have 2 pens, I have a pen. Okay, so a or an tells us that there is one of the noun. And it always precedes a singular count noun. Now, with the or the, depends on the stress pattern in your sentence. The difference with the and a is that the is a very, very it refers to a very, very specific object, whereas a is more of just a general idea of the noun. So for example, I might have all these pens in front of me and someone might say, "Oh, Shalane, do you have a pen?" And I say, "Yes, I've got a pen. Here you go." They didn't say, "Do you have the pen that I'm looking for?" Now, if someone said to me, "Oh, Shalane, do you have the pen?" that tells me something very different. That tells me that they're looking for one very, very particular pen. No other pens will do, just that one. So maybe it's a very special pen, for example. So my friend might, have a pen as a present, right? A really expensive fountain pen as a present from their parents, and they go, "Oh no, Shalane, I've lost the pen that my parents gave me. Have you seen it?" And I said, "Oh no, is it? I don't have the pen. I don't have the pen, right? As in the very, very special fountain pen that they're looking for." Another example might be maybe like with books, like behind me. So someone might say, if someone said, "Oh, Shalane, do you have a book that I can use?" And I say, "Well, yes, I have lots of books, right?" But if they said, "Oh, Shalane, do you have the book that I'm looking for?" that tells me they're not looking for any book. They're looking for one very, very specific book, right? It has to be that book. It can't just be any book that I can grab. It's got to be that one very special, specific book. The other thing with the is that it could also refer to plural nouns as well. So for example, I might say, "Oh, well, the boys are having fun over there." Right. So when I say the boys are having fun over there, it means that I'm talking about one specific group of boys, right? Not just any group of boys. I'm just talking about one specific group of boys. So yeah, so the we can use for plural nouns, and we can also use the for uncount nouns as well, because we're talking about very, very specific objects. So I might say, oh, well, the water in Melbourne is really quite delicious. I'm talking about water in Melbourne. I'm not talking about water in Adelaide or in New York or in China. I'm talking about all the water in Melbourne. Yeah, so I'm not just talking about water in general all over the world. I'm just talking about the water that you find in Melbourne. So that's why I would say the water in Melbourne is quite delicious. So I hope that clarifies articles for you. They can be quite tricky for people who are learning English as a second language or as an additional language. And for, I think, English language learners, articles can be one of those really tricky parts of speech to learn as well, because we use it quite naturally and so we don't really think about it. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you'd like to get some one-to-one tutoring, I'm in Nunawading, so you can contact me via Facebook, YouTube, websites, all of that stuff. I also post a lot of writing advice and tips and tricks onto all my social media platforms as well. So like and subscribe to make sure you get, regularly updated on all the stuff that I post. Thanks for watching.